Okay. Okay, great. Onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
Right, perfect. Use a little bit. Keep that down. Good, working front and back. Great, and side to side. To rotation. Great, and opening and closing the body.
Morgen.
Great, and then just play freely, move in any direction. So free, mixing them all together. Okay, great. And then from here, just play with a kind of corkscrew down. So you're going to bring the arms into it. You're going to kind of move the arms to the space and just corkscrew kind of up and down, just flowing the arms around the body. Sending the limbs out at the same time, dropping the body down in it. Yeah. Great. And then back up to the top. Just go to the head. Just rolling. Inside circles. Alternating the side each time. Center, just working the neck, working the chin front and back. Rolling the neck. Great, and just take it down into the chest. Play with opening up, folding in. Great, and then open out side to side, just the chest. Good, and then just mobilizing the chest any direction. A little bit like you're trying to move a ball around from the chest, around the body. Great, and then just let that movement go into the shoulders. Just think about kind of spreading the shoulders out. You can play like a front back motion, you can play like a side to side motion. Just play with the idea of just spreading out the shoulders. Bring them away from each other, bring them together. Front at the back. Okay. That's it. Great, and then just bringing the arms out, playing with the shoulders pulling out. Great, and then pressing the palms out, and then just rolling them front and back. Good. Great, keeping the arms out, rolling the elbows. Yeah, so that the hands kind of come across the face, to the sides. Right, and then play with the direction. Changing. Right, pressing back out again with the fingers up, and then just going to curl the fingers up under towards the forearm. Reach them out. Great, and then turning the palms face out, fingers down, curling up to the top with the fingers. And just rolling out to the center, loosen them out, pressing them out to the sides. And then reversing it through the center and out. Great. Okay, go to the hips. Nice big circles.
Hier. Und hier ist der Punkt.
Great, changing direction. Come down a little bit wider, dropping the hands onto the knees, seeing the head down, and then just start to rotate. Looking over the shoulder.
Ja.
Hat der im Kopf gepackt, weißt du?
Ja. Also das ist jetzt ein klares Zeichen.
Oder? Das ist auch möglich.
Die ist ja ganz frisch.
Biên cho ông nữa.
Yeah.
Great, coming out a little bit wider.
Không một người mình chia hơn.
Uh-huh.
Good, dropping down into the center. Loosen the hips out a little bit. Great. Okay, bring the feet together. Roll them in the knees. And then bend and straighten. Great, coming down, opening the knees out. Bring the hands down, stretching out the legs. Open that to the back. Bring the hands onto the same line. Just gently working the hands over, both hands to each ankle. Swinging the body over. And then working in circles, come up and come to the top. Gentle bend to the back. Good, and changing direction. Great, and then just walking the feet back together to the hands. And now press the palms down into the ground, bend the knees as much as you need to. Drop the head down. Great, bringing the hands onto the ankles and slowly pulling back up. Great. Okay, we're just going to a swing, so just feet shoulder width apart, raising up to the top, and just release it down. So. Right, going back up to the top, bringing the arms to the side and just dropping down, let the arms come across the body. Just alternating which arm crosses over. And then adding a twist into it, finding the shoulder. back into the center, and then just going to swing the arms, front and back. A little bit engaging the hips forward. Opening up to the top, reach the top of the head, drop them down. Then letting the arms swing one direction. Circling the arms. Switching the direction, the arms. Releasing them down and shaking out the hands. And then just take it to a little bit of 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒄 work. Just start to bring the feet into it. So you start to work into hammy. You just work both sides. Drop the hips in. Drop the hips in. Passing spiral out the forearm to the fingertips. And the hips into the ground. So just play with this exercise, just get a little bit of width through the shoulders. There's a tendency in this, also because it comes from this idea comes from Soba. There's a tendency for the bones to become kind of close and the shoulders kind of closing up. So just play in this place, just really open the arms out, turning the arms up to the top. So if you're kind of holding a big ball in the hands, and think about opening the arm bit to the front. And then from that position, nice and wide, think about rolling the arms down, keeping that width across the shoulders. So you want the armpit's obviously going to turn down, the elbow's going to turn down, and the hand's going to spiral out. But try and keep a sense of the shoulder being wide through that motion. So just play with going from here, that really open the shoulders out, and then coil the hands down, and then let them kind of drop it. Just find that space. I'm a little bit too far extended now, but just play the idea of getting width through the chest. So work in and out of that position, but you want to basically maintain that sense of width. You don't want to start to kind of narrow and close the front of the body down. So. It's a quite stupid exercise, but you've got to really do this with a partner, but you can basically do it on yourself. It's about getting a heaviness in that area. So I don't only want it to be kind of open, you want this whole area to kind of switch on and be heavy. So just play with lifting your arm up and then just press underneath the arm, so you kind of got a little bit of force underneath it. Now play with the idea, like if I go with the hand and the elbow, it's almost impossible to kind of bring the arm down. So what you want to think about is kind of closing this area and switching it on, and then think about dragging it down with the body. So think about the core basically pulling the arm down. So it's like you're pulling it all down into position, pulling it down. Just give yourself a little bit of pressure. So you want it to be heavy, but you need basically the shoulder to be coming into place. If I'm in that position and the shoulder's kind of pulling out, then I'm basically working in that kind of area, get very, very light. And that's basically like where your ikkyo functions. I basically deny that position for the other person. So if the person can drop it down, that's when the ikkyo fails. So you're looking in case of that structure for mine to be strong. So that kind of structure comes into place. And if you think about sword work, all the time we're kind of working that kind of structure. But it's just making the connection with the sword work and that kind of arm position. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, so what might happen now is the tendency to kind of push out with the elbow. So like, let's see, like that, pushing out with the elbow. And then you notice the base of the shoulder splits down and it's very hard to keep the shoulder in place. So think about the elbow, again, like the sword work, rather than the elbow kind of casting out, it's basically dropping in that connection. So play with here again, that sense that here the elbow basically just dropped in. Once you've got the shoulder down, think the elbow just drops into the hand. So if you think of like a classic like shomanuchi or like a taina henko position, you basically want the elbow to be dropping into place. So that's it, right? Okay, now do this in the exercise. Go into that taina henko position, drop it in, and then spiral the hand out with the hip. And that's pretty much where you want to be in terms of your connection to the arm. So drop it in, and then spiral it out. And then once you've got a feeling for it a few times, just take that arm away and just kind of play with dropping the arm in, spiraling it out. Play with both sides. Drop it in, spiral it out. That's it. That's it. You basically want to keep that connection to the whole back of the body. Hey, Sue. Very good. Hello, hello. Okay. Okay, so yeah, what's happened a little bit, so you get the connection here, and then as you go into this movement, the hip falls out, and then it comes into this position. So think about the hip from this position, it's in the ground, just coil the hip in. So just play now from that position. Once you've got that, just play with keeping that heaviness in the arm, coiling it in, drawing it back, coiling it in. You don't want, in this case, the hip to kind of float up and then push in. So just play with the hips basically going to maintain that position in the ground, and it's just adjusting. That's it. And if you go to like sword, it's the difference between that kind of showman position and yokomen coming out with a little bit of a spiral. That's it. That's it. That's it. Nice. Right, and when you do this, focus on, in this case, when you switch from this position, where you basically got the focus is on the back of the forearm and the back of the hand and the fingers underneath. You're switching as you go through to this part. So switch your focus to the tip of the little finger, the blade of the hand, and then this part of the forearm. And you want that basically to take the focus that way. So that's, if you think about it, that's the bottom of the limb now. And as you rotate underneath it, that becomes the bottom of the limb. But I don't want, in this case, the limb to start to spread out to the side this way. So keep the focus forward and try and keep the focus underneath the arm rather than coming out to the side. That's it. Yeah. Okay, now you're going to coil it with the steps. You're going to go 1, shift in, and then from here you're going to step in with the backhand, and you're going to open this kokyu out. So you're going to go into more of like an iriminage position, into this kind of position. So you're going to kind of roll it underneath. So the key with this is done by the hips. So you don't want, in this case, the arms to start to come out of structure and do this kind of thing, where I'm basically, again, coming into a really weak position. So think as you go into this, the hip is basically opening that movement out. So the hip connects in, and then drop the hips in. Again, you want to feel you're shifting now the focus again a little bit more to this part of the arm, and you're kind of coiling it inside this way. But let this come out with the hips. You've got 1, yes, and then step through, and let it in. That's it. That's it, good. Okay, good. So those of you that were here on Saturday, you did this exercise with the belt where you kind of wrapped it around the foot, and then you got it to the arm here. So what I want to think about, without doing it with the belt, think about a line, especially this third movement, just practice this third movement. Think about a spiral line, basically running from this foot, coiling up the leg, passing over the shoulder, and through the elbow into the hand. And what I want you to play with is the idea of this spiral, working out from the center of the body, passing into the arm and passing into the foot as well. So the big problem with this, I start to spiral with the upper body, and then the lower body stays static, and I basically kind of fall through it. And then all the movement basically comes from the upper body, basically twisting in, and the legs kind of static, not really doing anything. So think about the spiral, basically pressing up and down. So the first step with this, just get the sense that the foot and the hand can basically, one, the foot spirals into the ground, and the other, the hand spiraling up to the top. But just play basically that, if you imagine a line from the foot to the hand, you basically want to roll into it, spiral it, and pull it tight. So you've got that kind of position. So this is kind of a little bit more exaggerated, a little bit more like a tension egg. But feel from the front foot to the back hand. Just think about spiraling through it. So. Nice. Okay, now take that connection, which is like an up and down connection, and start to play with shifting the weight into this leg as you do it. So you're going to have a little bit more of now a forward motion, but keep that sense of the spiral becoming kind of taut in the body. So you're taking the slack out of the system here, and then just start to play with basically the weight's going to shift fully onto that leg, but keep that spiral going through the front leg that way. And just find the kind of limit of that movement. Just feel the weight's kind of shifting in. And just try it on both sides. So you're rolling, reaching, and then shifting the weight out. So somewhere there. So. Like a wave. Great, and then play with the step in it. So keep that feeling in it. Keep that sense of the spar basically anchoring in the back, in the front leg, and then play with just coiling it through, keeping the weight in the way. So keep that weight, roll it in, drop it in. Keep the weight, roll it in. And if you want to really exaggerate, you can think about like you can think about tension out, kind of coming up with it, and then rolling in. Or you can think a little bit more like in a remi now, a bit more of a forward spiral in. It's good. That's nice. Very good. Great. And then lastly, we'll just bring these exercises together. So work with you've got the Tanhenko position, you've got this more of a 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒖𝒊𝒔𝒄𝒄𝒄𝒄 position, and then think about this kind of ruminari position. So you just want to work the feet, so you can do it anyway. I'll just give you one you can kind of work with, or you can come up with your own. First, you got the Tanhenko position, working with a spiral, coming in, opening out to the front, and then playing with coming through the ruminari. Or you can really make this dynamic. You can start to kind of roll back, step in. Just basically play with the feet, play with the hips, play with the connection out of that arm. Especially in this case, trying to spiral the movement into the ground as much as out of the hand. Good. There we go. Okie dokie, perfect. Take a 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒃. So we'll work 3 similar positions with the bottom, and then we'll bring them together at the end. So just starting with the basic shomanuchi, working with number 1, drawing it to the spine, dropping the hips in. Dropping the hips in. And again, just working on that sense of heaviness in the arm. Dropping into the center. Dropping the elbows down. Finding that heaviness underneath. Good. Again. Right, taking it into Zengo, working front and back, switching to the left, dropping in. Great, we'll switch into Yoku Manuchi, so just working like number 5, just as much as you're able, working with a step, and then cut on each side. 1 step, 1 cut each side.
Ja, warte, immer, ich bin noch mitten im Kurs, aber gleich habe ich Zeit. Um 9 ist zu Ende. Dann habe ich auch noch was zu erzählen.
Nice. So just play again, another exercise with this. Play with, basically you're in position and then you want to release the fingers as much as possible. So you want to kind of connect with the sword, just between the two hands, as light as you can with the fingers. And then play with the idea of trying to raise the sword from this connection. So again, you want the hips to be behind it, and I need the arms to be heavy, and my feeling to be underneath the weapon. So play with really releasing the fingers as much as you can, and then from here, raise the sword up, and then drop it in. So don't worry about the cut because you've not got the hands gripping to kind of find the focus, but just release it and connect. And just play with how light you can be with the fingers in this connection. So you want really the feeling to be underneath the weapon and the hips to be biting into that connection. I don't want, in this case, the arms to be pushing, pulling out, or kind of splitting away from the body, because then I basically need the grip to hold the sword in place. So play with just the idea of how to raise the sword up, just with that connection into the hip. That kind of feeling, but play with just how lightly you can grip the sword. Yeah. So. Okay, good. And then just working on the grip. You want to get this feeling of like you're scissoring the grip with the hands. So we're going to do this just shoulder width apart. And basically it's like this. If the sword goes, when the sword goes to the left side, you're going to release more the left hand than the right. So you're going to release that hand as it comes across. So just play with kind of that. So as you go over to the left, that hand's just releasing a little bit more. But both hands are quite light on the sword. But this hand's just slightly releasing a little bit more, releasing a little bit more. You want to get this feeling that you kind of scissoring the arms and the sword. You kind of opening, closing, but one side, in this case, if you go to the left, it's the left. So. Now if you go to the right side, the right hand's going to release a little bit more than the left. So as you go right, that's going to happen a little bit more. Again, both hands are light, so not really gripping so much with the fingers in that movement. But the right hand's going to release a lot more. And that's going to enable that motion out. If that hand's gripping too much, basically it pulls me out. So just play now with, again, right side, left side, and play with how much you can release it. But you basically want that hip motion, once you've kicked it in, to transfer straight into the sword. And if I'm gripping too hard with the same side, it starts to kick the sword out of the connection. So I want the sword to basically stick into the hip. And you do that in this case by releasing the grip a little bit. Not release it to the point where you're going to lose the sword, but you don't want to be kind of death gripping the sword. That's it. That's it. Great. And then start to take this back into motion. So again, think about really releasing through that side as you come through. Then it's going to release the whole movement of the sword. So that kind of feeling. And you want to start to work on, so that bring the focus back in. Really feel that that whole movement's one. So the raise, cut is one motion. Raise, cut, one motion. With the step. Yeah, one of the things, just watch for this one, is you don't want the sword to be passing around the back of the head as you do this. So let the right hand, that top of the hand from the thumb is basically going to find the top of the head, and it's as if you're kind of cutting a groove into the top of the head. So that hand's going to basically find the center line of the body. But I don't want, in this case, the arms to start to open out, because it's basically going to pull the shoulders and the elbows out of position, and then it puts a lot of pressure on the shoulders, kind of bring the sword up. So play with the hand basically like it glues to the head and then comes in. And that's the same on both sides. So right side, left side, that right top of the hand just cuts into the top of the head. Give yourself a little bit of space, but it needs to be basically aligning with that, the center line of the head. So not going around the back of the head, just rotates around the center line. Right. Okay, we'll do one more movement and then we'll link them all together. So working with the ski movement. So working from the right side, you're going to step with the left foot. And this is a variation, you're going to open the hand on the sword. So you're going to come up, underneath, and thrust through this way. So you're working right side and then stepping in, spiraling the connection. Bring the hand to the tip of the sword. In, the hip's going to screw into the ground and then into the ski. So it's a variation on number 7, releasing the hand. That's it. And a little bit, or really this very similar to this idea, like with the 𝒂𝒂𝒏 kind of coming in. Think with this one, the same as the ski, I don't want to kind of wait till that foot stepped in and then kind of add the thrust into it, so that the strike's delivered after the step. So try and deliver this during the motion. So as you go in, the connection is going to be from this front leg here into the movement, and then that foot, the front foot's coming in to kind of transfer the weight. But I'm not waiting for that foot and then delivering this kind of movement. So feel that the movement itself is the kind of power of it, but it's based on that ground in the front leg. So you've got that kind of motion coming in here, and then that kind of motion. So really kind of as if you're really drawing the sword in there, and you're behind it. not kind of delivering the body and then slotting the sword into it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So the body movement becomes the kind of power of this strike there. That's it. Great. So we just do a nice sequence of image. So bringing these three movements together, you're going to start with number one, so drawing back, cutting in. You're going to cut on the left, your comment here, and then roll to the back with a slice. Here, cut on the right with the yoke, and then you finish with this ski here, position. So release it, come back to the beginning. So you've got 1, 2, 3, slice, 5, 6. Feedback. Okay, great. Last minute, just play with the last movement. So you're going to start the last three movements. You're going to start in the right side. I'm going to step in, find a rotation, and find that slice. This, and then into the right, and then into the left. This way. So I want to really focus on this. You come through spiraling through, spiral the hip, spiral the hip, spiral the hip into it. So you can allow it to be a little bit more flexible if you're comfortable. But really focusing on spiraling the hips, passing that movement into the tip of the sword. nice. Nice, nice, nice. Very good. Okay, great. We'll stop that. Good, good. Okay. どうもありがとうございました。
どうもありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。
All right. Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Very good.